I'm Mr. Miyagi, and this is Mr. Miyagi's Workshop. So you went out and you bought some parts. You bought an XS650. You got it from a friend. You found it on eBay. You found it on Craigslist, or you were just driving down the road. Well, here's the deal. You're not sure what you bought. You paid $100 for it, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, maybe somebody gave it to you. Yeah, what am I gonna do? Well, I've got one that I picked up. Yeah, parts and pieces. Yeah, I know. You got it from your buddy. He was a good guy. It was running one part. They pulled the motor out for some reason. Not sure why. But what he forgot to tell you, that for the last 15 years, it's been sitting underneath a blanket or a canvas with the spark plugs out. Oh my goodness, what did I get myself into? Well, I know the feeling. This engine right here was froze up. Yeah, that's right. Right cylinder stuck in the cylinder. Yeah, I got her loose. I used a hammer and a wood dowel and a little cleaning solution around it, some WD-40, and let it soak, and finally got it to move. So now, yeah, it rotates. Oh, wait a minute. No. Yeah, it does. But I found some problems. We know that the left cylinder was carboned up quite a bit, and the right cylinder must have had water in it. And you can see right here. Oh, look at this. This is what I pulled out. Carbon, pieces of carbon. Looks like oil. And over here, you can see there's rust. So we know for sure that the head is going to have to be worked on. And we know for sure that the cylinder, I don't know if you can make that out or not, but the right side's pretty rusty. I mean, it looks pretty clean. I know some guys would just run a hone through there and throw a new set of pistons in it, or just clean up the pistons you got and put a set of rings in. Yeah, you could do that. That may or may not resolve the problem. We're not sure why this one was running rich or carboned up. That looks like oil deposits that's been burnt on. So either the head was leaking through the valve guides or the oil rings were leaking. We don't know for sure. I don't know how many miles was on this motor. I don't know anything about it. Now, luckily, I have another cylinder up in the loft that has been bored out to second stage. And I have pistons and rings and everything for it. So I'm not too worried about that part. But on your case, you might be. So there's, you can either order a new set of pistons and have them bored to the pistons, or you can buy another cylinder, or you can buy a replacement cylinder kit. One way or another, it's going to be anywhere from $150 plus pistons up to, depending on what you do. I mean, if you buy the big fin kit from Mike's XS, you can go all the way up to a 750. And I believe the last time I looked at that for the cylinder and everything is around 600 plus. But it comes with gaskets and everything to fix it. But that may not be your only problem. So the cylinder and head, questionable. The cam, on the other hand, here, let me move this right here. The cam, on the other hand, looks darn good. no breakage. Everything looked good. The bearings feel fine. I may or may not replace them. I don't know for sure. The rocker arms are really in good condition. So that's a plus. I do happen to have, like we were talking, I do happen to have another set of cylinders. This came off of a running bike where we did some modifications and we changed out the cylinders and went to the big fins. This one's in good shape. So this one here, I could just hone it, put new rings on, I'm good to go. You might be able to find something like that on the internet. Craigslist, you know, for relatively cheap. So that's a thought too to go into. Another thing that we need to look at is, will the darn thing shift? So let's put a shifter arm on it. Uh-oh. Oh, maybe. Yeah. It's working, but let's check it out on the other side. Pull the clutch hub off. What we have here, this way, is the shifter arm. This is pretty darn stiff, this drum up here. So being that this motor sat, I don't know how many years, and under a tarp or whatever for God knows how long, I'm going to end up splitting the case anyway. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to check the bearings on the shifting drum. We'll check the bearings on the transmission. We'll check the bearings on the crank. Now crank and everything feels pretty good. I'm looking down inside. I don't see a lot of rust or anything built up on the crankshaft, and that is just something that we're going to have to play with. So we'll end up splitting the case. Another thing you might want to look at too is your charging system, if it came with a charging system. This one looks like it's been banged around. Somebody is moving it. All of this is kind of in a bad shape. But in the box of goodies that I got, I happen to have another stator and rotor. I'm not sure if these are in good condition or, working condition. We'll check them out. We'll do an ohms test on them. And I'll show a video on that later on. So that's one thing you got to look at. Now you can upgrade this to one of the permanent magnets, the PM style. Hughes Hand-Built sells one, Mike's X sells one, I believe TC Brothers sells one, or you can find them on the internet. And they're a bolt-on kit, which I did on one of my videos back on mounting one of those on. A pretty simple system. They run, I'm not sure on the price, I'd have to say close to $300. But it comes with a regulator and everything, and it changes it off. What's nice about going that way is that you can put in a condenser into it so that you can run without a battery. This needs the battery. You need to charge this system. It needs to get the magnets and everything working so that it will literally charge. So there's the difference on that. I'm not sure what I'll do on this. I do happen to have one of these units. Also, if you go with the other style of the PM, and you can, if you don't want to run the stock ignition system, electronic ignition system, you could just pull this unit totally out and run the points or the PAMCO system. So there's different ways that you can approach this. Depends on money and what you want to do. Okay, a couple other things you might want to look at during this round here is the clutch items you might want to look at is your clutch hub. And sometimes the areas where the fiber plates run, they get a little worn out, a little worn there, and the fiber plates will catch. You can take a little bit of a file in there and file those straight, but you know, pay attention what you're doing there. This hub looks actually in excellent condition. The fiber plates, from what I can see, just kind of glancing at them, I have more upstairs. The fibers look pretty good, a little clean up. I will mic them later to make sure everything is good. But that looks good. One of the things you're going to look at, I don't know if you can see that, this is pretty rusty. Now, you can clean that up. What I'm going to end up doing is I'll take these and I'll put it in a solvent bath and clean them all up. And then I may put them in a bead, my bead blaster, and bead blast them and knock the rest of that rust off. One other thing, if you don't have a bead blaster, you can take a bit of like 250 grit sandpaper and set it on a flat surface and rub these things on there. And you can literally take that rust off there and it cleans it up, gives a little bit more grip and stuff. I mean, that's one thing to look at. This looks all complete, but anyway, springs. Let's move some of this stuff out of the way here. The springs on these don't look too bad. I wonder if I have them all. I'm thinking I do. Hopefully. If not, I've got a few more up in the loft. I always carry a few. If you look in the book, in your manual, you can measure the height of these. It'll let you know if they're within tolerances. Yeah. Let's see. One of the other things you want to look at too, we haven't gone over this yet, is your tensioner. Make sure it's not all worn out. This one looks pretty darn good here. Do we have the other one around here? Oh yeah. This one, the fiber plate's totally gone, so it's going to have to be replaced. Now, we probably could find one on eBay or whatever, but I'll probably just buy one. XS has them on, Mike's XS has them on there. I think they're about 18 bucks, and I'll just replace that. It might be a little more, I'm not sure, but right around that price. And that's basically, this is just where the chain runs, your timing chain runs, but you need to have that fiber on there. Otherwise, you're going to grind off this metal and put it into your engine. One of the other things here, let's look. Okay, yeah, I do have a plunger back here that sits. So that's good to go for that. I've got a bunch of miscellaneous parts that came with it. Crankshaft stuff, just odds and ends that I may or may not be able to use. Like I said, we have the kickstart mechanism, which is great. Kickstart mechanism goes, mounts right in that hole right in there. One of the other things we want to look at too while we're in this area is with the electric start. Oh, look at that. There is none. There's a Bendix that sits in here. I think I have enough parts to make one. And, ooh, even the Bendix drive is froze up. Grab something here. Oh yeah. Yeah, this thing sat for a while. A long while. So I'll have to, when I pull the engine apart, when I split the cases and stuff, that's another thing that's going to be coming out of there. I'll pull that all apart and check that. And pulling the stud bolts, pulling these studs out will be fun. Like I said, I'm going to do a video on that. And what else do we want to talk about? Oh yeah. Where are they? I did a video here. Well, these are the ones that came out. I did a video here a while back on oil pumps and filters. And one thing that we want to make sure, and the sump filter, we want to make sure it's in good shape. These are about 35 bucks to replace. You can get them at XS650 direct, I think, or Mike's XS. I don't know if any of the other boys have them. Or you can patch it. Now, I've patched these before, and they're fine. I mean, you know, but you definitely want to get one that has the magnet in it. That has a... Well, what that does is it picks up any of the metal filings or anything that's floating around in the engine for some reason. And, but I'd replace that. I'm going to. And then you can see on this one here, all the stuff that it picked up. Pretty gross. And I could probably reuse this one, but I'll put a new one in. These aren't all that expensive either. And like I said, you can go with on my oil pump video. You can replace that with a fiber filter too. They make a kit for that. They're not cheap. The kit, and once you do it, you know, they just use basically a Honda oil filter, a small one. Yeah, let's see what else. That's probably basically it for now. When I get into doing the video on the teardown, what we'll do is we'll talk a lot more about each of these parts and pieces and how everything goes together, how everything comes apart, and how we need to handle it. And well, this is basically it on that. We've gone over what you need to look for, what you need to check on, and to double check. When I get to the point of splitting the cases and everything, I'm going to do a video on that, how to break it all down, how to pull the studs, the cylinder studs properly, split the cases, do some double checking on that. We're going to go through and check all the bearings and see how well that is. In that episode, probably what I'll do is I'll also do the clutch cleanup and how to mic them and how to, fix it. And then showing the missing parts, like the starter Bendix is not even there. So, but, if this has helped in any way at all, thanks for watching. I try to do these videos to be helpful. Sometimes I'm not always correct on a lot of this stuff. I've done few. There's just the way I do things. And there's people out there that have been doing this too. And, they're good videos and such. but I think sometimes they miss some of the importance part is that, you know, a lot of times you can't do this as you know, with the expense. So you know, can I reuse those parts? Yeah, we'll try and we'll go over all this stuff, what you can, you know, kind of like when I was talking with the pistons and everything, you know, here's a good cylinder. You know, the pistons are in great shape. Little honing, some new rings. Bam, you got a setup. You know, there's the expense of, you know, do you want to upgrade the fuel pump? Do you want to, you know, put in a new filter? Do you want to have the motor rephased? What kind of carburation do you want to run? Do you want to run a dual setup, like a stock or an aftermarket? Or do you want to go to a single manifold carb setup? There's a lot of different things, you know, different approaches that you can get into on this. But hopefully I've helped a little bit today, and hope you like my videos. I like doing them. I just like helping people out. During this pandemic, you know, we're all kind of stuck in one spot, so it's kind of nice to be able to have a project to keep your mind busy. But if you do have a comment or anything, please put it down in the comment section down below. I'll gladly answer any questions that you throw at me. I don't know if I know the exact answer or anything, but I'll give it my best shot. So anyway, this is Mr. Miyagi kind of signing off again. And if you like I said, if you like my videos, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the road. Oh, one other thing. I'm going to be doing a video this weekend on camping with the dual sport. That'll be a good one.